Hi, everyone. It's been a while, but so much has happened. Welcome to Eye-Affectiva Asks, a human-centric AI podcast, where each episode we will interview a thought leader doing cutting-edge work in the AI space. I am Ashley McManus, now Senior Director of Global Marketing at SmartEye. As you may have seen, we were excited to announce that SmartEye, the global leader in eye tracking and driver monitoring systems, acquired Eye-Affectiva. We are thrilled to join forces with SmartEye as our two companies combined will form a global AI powerhouse. By merging our highly skilled teams and industry-leading technologies, we'll bring to market unmatched AI solutions for the automotive industry, media analytics, and beyond, better and faster than any of our competitors can. So a little bit about SmartEye. Headquartered in Gothenburg, Sweden, SmartEye was founded by CEO Martin Krantz and his father more than 2 decades ago, with a mission to bridge the gap between humans and machine. SmartEye's commitment to saving lives with high-quality technology has made them a preferred provider of automotive-grade driver monitoring systems, or DMS, as proven by 84 production contracts with 12 of the 20 largest global OEMs. Additionally, their research instruments division develops high-fidelity eye tracking systems to analyze human behavior in the world's most demanding industries, ranging from aerospace to aviation to neuroscience. Eye-Affectiva brings a lot to the table as well. In the 10-plus years since Eye-Affectiva was founded, we have developed exceptional machine learning, computer vision, and data acquisition and annotation expertise. We have built massive data repositories that we use to train and test our machine learning algorithms, and we have developed a robust IP portfolio with 40 patents issued and applicability across industries. All of this is incredibly important to and compelling for SmartEye, as they too value themselves as a company on the forefront of innovation and human-centric technologies. So with this acquisition, SmartEye also gains our industry-leading media analytics business and significant incremental revenues and profit. We've been in market with commercial products for media analytics for more than a decade now, and today our technology is used by 28% of the Fortune Global 500 and 70% of the world's largest advertisers. So I am very excited to kick off our season finale episode featuring a conversation between Eye-Affectiva co-founder and now Deputy CEO, Dr. Rana el Kaliouby, and SmartEye CEO Martin Krantz. A pioneer in emotion AI, Dr. Rana el Kaliouby is also the best-selling author of the newly released book, Girl Decoded. A passionate advocate for humanizing technology, ethics in AI, and diversity, Rana has been recognized on Fortune's 40 Under 40 list and as one of Forbes' top 50 women in tech. She holds a PhD from the University of Cambridge and a postdoctorate from MIT. Guided by his vision of bridging the gap between humans and machines, Martin contributes his 20-plus years of experience to automotive innovation and a growing number of research projects, leading to new insights and technological advancement. Recognized on Bloomberg's 2021 list of 50 global leaders, Martin is a world-renowned expert in eye tracking and its commercial applications. So let's listen in and learn more about our amazing synergies with SmartEye, our shared vision, and the opportunities we see to humanize technology together. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. With me, I have Eye-Affectiva co-founder, Dr. Rana el Kaliouby, and Martin Krantz, CEO of SmartEye. Thank you both so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you for having us.
So to start, tell us briefly about your backgrounds. How did you come about co-founding your companies, and how has your background professionally helped you to get to where you are today? So maybe, Rana, let's start with you.
Sure. So I we spun Eye-Affectiva out of MIT Media Lab 12 years ago. My background is in computer vision and machine learning. So I did my PhD at Cambridge University before joining MIT as a postdoc. At the time, my goal was I was very fixated on becoming faculty, but then quickly realized that there was a lot of potential, commercial potential in the technology. And that was the impetus for spinning out of MIT.
Great. And Martin?
My background is engineering physics at Chalmers University of Technology. So I was a physics major, and I started to specialize towards measurement technology and microscopy in surface physics during my last years on that education. And then I was part of a startup where we were doing spin out from Chalmers, where we were doing fiber optic pressure sensors in 97. And then one morning in May of 99, my father called me, and he had a dream where he dreamt that Mary's wife she had a frozen shoulder from using the computer mouse, and he dreamt that she got well by looking at the screen, and the mouse cursor would go wherever she was looking. And she blinked instead of clicking, and she became well in her arm. So he told me about this dream, and I thought it was a great dream. And he's like, "Yeah, Martin, you work with these kinds of things. Can you see? I mean, is it even possible to do?" And I said, "I don't know, but it seems like I should be able to make some calculations to see if it's possible to do." So I started to do that, and I found out that I believe this is possible to do actually, and we started a company. My father and I, we started a company in the summer of 99.
Awesome. So we might have some listeners that are not yet familiar with Smart Eye. So Martin, can you tell us about, I know you touched on it a little bit, but a little bit more about that technology that Smart Eye has developed and how it is applied in automotive industry and beyond?
Yeah. So the first original dream or idea, I mean, that was about being able to tell where a person is looking and using it, wherever, computers or wherever. I mean, we had a very from the start, we had this vision that this is like ubiquitous technology can be used anywhere, actually. But very closely after starting the company, we started to zoom in to automotive. And we thought that automotive was a great place to start due to safety. Due to safety. So our background there, it comes from like being able to detect where the eye is directed, where the gaze is directed with a very, very high accuracy, as high accuracy as possible. I mean, we started with research, we went into automotive, and that's very much how we got into the space. But of course, already from the beginning, we were quite aware of everything else that you can do when you have a camera and you have image processing and you have some processing power. What else is it that you can do with the face? So we've always from the start been looking into these kind of things. So being able to, for example, detect head position, head rotation, being able to see facial expressions, being able to detect if an eyelid behavior is related to drowsiness and things like that. So we always looked at building that superstructure on top of the fundamental building blocks of head and eye tracking. But how it was that we, instead of having to build it ourselves, we then met with Eye-Affectiva a couple of years ago and realized that this is a way of doing it, but doing it much faster. Maybe you would like to chime in, Rana.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Rana, so our listeners are fairly familiar with Eye-Affectiva at this point, but it's always great to hear from our co-founder. So can you share your thoughts on Eye-Affectiva's role in automotive and how we kind of evolved from the Emotion AI company to then being acquired by Smart Eye today?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we spun out of MIT, our vision, which is very similar to your vision, Martin, is to humanize technology and bridge that gap between humans and machines, right? And our particular approach to bridging the gap between human and machines is by bringing emotional intelligence to our machines and to our devices. And we particularly focused on leveraging computer vision and specifically focused on the face, like understanding all of the different facial expressions that people can make and then mapping it using machine learning and gobs of data to an understanding of a person's emotional or cognitive state. So like Smart Eye's technology, this has applications across many, many industries. And I truly fundamentally believe that someday this is going to be the de facto human-machine interface. But in the meantime, Eye-Affectiva has been on this journey to figure out, okay, what are the key industries where where we can apply this technology today and set us up for this amazing future where this is just the way we interact with our devices. And so we started with market research and media analytics as a business. We now serve 28% of the Fortune Global 500 companies around the world to test their content and understand people's relationship with their brands. But then a few years ago, we realized that automotive is a massive business opportunity for us. And it was kind of instigated by inbound interest from global automakers who are like, well, can we use your emotion AI technology in a car to detect everything from driver behaviors to also what's happening with the other occupants in the vehicle? And that was our foray into automotive. And I'm sure we're going to cover that. But at some point in time, we were always following Smart Eye, right? They're one of the, undisputed leaders in driver monitoring systems and very credible technology. And, they've been very successful bringing automotive grade solutions to the market. So we've always looked at them, with a lot of respect and awe before we finally met in person at CES 2020.
And so, Martin, as Smart Eye's CEO, what is your primary focus today? And maybe you could cover a little bit of, interior sensing and the evolution and where we see it kind of coming to fruition today.
Yeah. Our primary focus is really, there is, in terms of DMS, which is basically like you have a zoomed in image of a driver's face and analyze as much as possible of that image. And that there is regulation coming in Europe. Probably there will be regulation in other markets as well. And there's also something called Euro NCAP, which is a voluntary organization between authorities and the automotive industry, where they promote safety solutions. And both Euro NCAP and regulations are starting to mandate driver monitoring. So there's a stampede. All the OEMs at once need to have it, want to have it, or are looking to source it. Mm-hmm. So that's one focus, but we have another primary focus as well, because even though everyone is rushing for the door at the same time in terms of DMS, there's also another trend which is very significant in terms of that the market is changing from only measuring the driver's head, the DMS, into something which we have chosen to call interior sensing, which is basically you don't only watch the driver, also watch the cabin. So cabin monitoring plus driver monitoring becomes interior sensing. And here we are also seeing like the early signs, or more than early signs, I would say. It's really the procurements for this new technology is that it is starting up. And this is, of course, super huge focus for us right now. And that's also the reason that we saw this happening on the market, is the reason why we merge our two companies, is to be able to better serve the market players on this new opportunity, which I believe has a potential to double the ASP per car, or even more than that, actually, to everything inside of the car will be monitored, just like everything outside of the car is monitored. That's the future of automotive.
Yeah, and what I actually really love about this is this broader kind of this natural evolution of DMS to interior sensing has both safety applications, for example, detecting that a child is left behind in a vehicle, but also it has kind of wellness personalization applications as well, because you can imagine how the cabin can personalize the mobility experience and enhance it based on the mood and the emotions of the occupants in the vehicle. So there's a broad range of use cases for this technology, and we're really spearheading that with the automakers. So it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rana, you are now Deputy CEO of Smart Eye. So I'm curious if you could talk us through what your primary focus will be, and maybe speak to how that focus or vision is changing, or maybe it's still aligned with what your vision was for Eye-Affectiva.
I think at the highest level, the vision is still the same. I would say my role as Deputy CEO, and Martin, you should tell me if I'm getting this right, is to primarily tag team with Martin. First and foremost, ensure that this integration of these two amazing teams and technologies is awesome. The biggest risk in any, merger and acquisition is the integration piece. So we need to absolutely make sure that we figure that out. And early signs tell us that it's looking very positive. But I'm also excited to continue to lead and innovate in the AI space. Like, I think one of my roles at Smart Eye is to spearhead our internal and external AI innovation. and roadmap, everything from applying data synthesis to exploring what are the state-of-the-art technologies that allow us to run all of this on the edge for automotive chips. And yeah, so, there's a lot of focus on that. Martin, would you agree? Is that your description?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, this merger has on paper everything it takes for great success and then some. But of course, we need to really make it happen as well. So and I think that's of course. I mean, for me and Rana, this has to be a great integration, and we have to be spearheading that and make sure that that's how it's going to be. So
our biggest challenge, of course, right now is to decide whether we should go with Microsoft Teams or Zoom. That's like the biggest integration challenge. Once we figure that out, we're all set.
Yeah. Awesome. So the genesis of this acquisition all started back at CES 2020, as you mentioned, Rana. So I thought it'd be really interesting to take us through that event. What did you both see? What conversations did you have? And what reflections do you have looking back to that moment today?
I would say that Genesis was probably like 6 months before that or something, wasn't it? When your chairman Hans put us in contact with each other. So that I would rate that as the genesis, but at that point we were still. I think we were both a little bit cautious about. If we were talking to a competitor, you shouldn't talk too much with competitors, but you can always have a dialogue. But I think at CES what happened was that we thought your stuff was great, and I suppose you thought our stuff was great as well. So that's when at least I started to think more about. This could actually be a possibility for something more.
Mm-hmm. I remember, Martin, I don't know if you remember that part, but we were at your booth. Our two executive teams had met. It was clear that, the teams clicked. But again, we were both proceeding with caution. And then on the way out, I'll never forget this. It's like etched in my brain. We stood by the hallway and you said, Rana, let's take this to the next, let's take this partnership or whatever to the next level. And I was like, that's a really cool challenge to put out there. And that was it. We left. We went back to Boston. You flew back to Sweden. COVID hit. and obviously, we were both pretty focused on just getting the team through the pandemic in the early days. Mm-hmm. And then in the fall, I reached out to you and I think I texted you, Martin, I have a crazy idea. Do you want to talk? Mm-hmm. And we hopped on a call and, we just started talking about what a true partnership would look like. And I think, after a few conversations, it started to take the shape of a real joining of forces. And, but then of course it was the pandemic. And if it weren't, you would have just hopped on a flight and we would have met in person.
Yeah, exactly. Then we would have started to investigate faster and more thoroughly, and now instead we needed to do everything on Zoom, and we had to convince each other's board that this was both the boards say really that this is a great idea, even if we still are only talking to Zoom and so on. So it was but in the end you made it to Sweden, bro.
In the end, I did. I think it was because I remember you saying, "Listen, we're gonna do this, but there's no way we're gonna sign this deal without you looking across the table from me and looking me in the eye and like we do this." And I was like, Martin, look me through the eyes on Zoom. But anyways, it was clear that an in-person meeting was important, and so I didn't have I was vaccinated, but I didn't have pre-clearance to fly to Sweden, so. Managed to charm my way through Logan Airport and then Frankfurt Airport and eventually made it to Stockholm. And I met your dad, it was just amazing. And I think, at least I'll speak for myself, that was the moment when I was like, okay, I really want to do this. I feel really good about this.
Awesome. So I have a question for you both. How would you say that, taking it back to emotion detection technology specifically, how would that fit into Smart Eye's overall solution?
Expressions are more naturally coupled to emotions than eye movement. I mean, you have certain things about eye movements and eyelid behavior and so on, coupled to emotions, but the expressions are more directly, and it seems to be fairly universal as well. Yeah. I mean, maybe a facial expression means something different in some culture than another, but most of it seems to be very, very universal. And this is, I mean, it's always from the start. I mean, our CTO at Smart Eye, he joined Smart Eye because he was a student. So he joined Smart Eye in 2000 when we were 1 year old. He joined Smart Eye to do his thesis work at Smart Eye on facial expressions. So, I mean, from the start, this has been a very natural, for us, it's been a very natural evolution. But what we also found out, since we don't want to do things very shallow or superficial. So we want to do it right, with really looking at the action units and using the Ekman, say, ideas about that. So we realized that this is a lot of work. And first we tried it with different CV methods, and then we tried appearance models. But then we realized that deep learning is the way to go. So that was our approach up until say six months ago, when we realized that this actually looks good, that we could make this merger. And then, of course, we were less inclined to invest in that, because, of course, Eye-Affectiva is the number one player in the world globally for facial expressions and for emotion AI. So we knew our limitations when it comes to this, of course. And I'm quite happy we don't have to compete here with Eye-Affectiva, because this is, of course, the real stronghold for Eye-Affectiva.
I think the core idea here is that we want to understand everything related to a human state, right? And so eye tracking and head and eye tracking is really an important piece of it. And then your facial expressions. But both companies have now actually expanded into activity tracking, pairing it with object detection to understand, okay, what objects am I engaging with? Am I texting on my phone? Because that gives you kind of advanced metrics around distraction. So I think it's a multimodal approach, Martin, right? Like the more modalities we can integrate to understand everything happening with a person, it's going to be a more accurate and robust solution.
Absolutely. And I sometimes think of it that I mean, a computer or I mean, it could be your PC at home, or it could be your car, which becomes a more and more advanced computer on four wheels, right? But the computer should be able to understand things about you in order to serve you better. It's like if you were having someone like a really close friend or a really close relative or something. They can probably know a lot of things about you, how you feel, and where are you emotionally, by just being around you, by just looking at you, by just see how you act. And I think that's where the computers need to go as well, in order to serve us humans better.
Ashley has probably heard me give this example a bazillion times, but do you know where I'm going with this? The fridge doesn't. It's not just your phone and the car, but your fridge, right? Like, could be even your fridge. Like, imagine if your fridge had emotion AI, and it could detect that you're stressed and you're more likely to binge eat and eat all of this ice cream or chocolate, whatever. And it like locks down to prevent you from having all of this unnecessary food.
No more ice cream.
Yeah, exactly.
I do want to sneak one more question in here, or two more actually. But so if you had one takeaway for people listening today, maybe they're from car manufacturers and they're starting to think about personalized mobility experiences, what would you like to tell them? And I know inevitably a lot of people are thinking about data privacy and how you guys approach that and think about that. So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on that subject.
One thing that I guess I would share, I mean, I think this is inevitable at this point. It's going to happen. We are going to, in the same way that cars now have a whole array of outward sensors, we are going to see cars have a whole array of inward facing sensors. So if automakers want to be at the forefront of innovation and innovating around the user experience and safety, they ought to get really serious about integrating interior sensing solutions. Come talk to us.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm also a strong believer in integrating the interior sensing with the exterior sensing, because I think the interior and the driver is going to give a lot of context to any car that's on a higher or lower level or whatever is trying to be autonomous in some respect. I'm not even talking about fully autonomous cars. Now I'm talking about like the stages in between that where we are right now, where you can let go of the steering wheel in certain situations for a short period of time. But if you keep track of the driver, understand where the driver is, and also maybe the rest of the interior car, the passengers, whatever, it's going to be a huge help for making a better autonomous driving experience.
Great. So one last question that we ask all of our guests: if your car could do one thing in the future to make your life a little easier, what would it be?
Well, I spend a lot of time driving, especially my son, to squash practice. And I often tell him, I do actually feel like we're sitting in I'm driving and he never talks to me. So I was like, dude, I wish we had autonomous vehicles that I could just like shove you into one of them and have the car drive you around. So I can't wait until cars are truly autonomous but safe, right? I don't feel safe shoving him in an autonomous vehicle today. So we're not there yet.
Yeah, and for me, I'm really looking forward to the next step when we get to autonomy level 3 or 4, where you could, for example, if you're taking a long ride and the car can drive itself on the highway for a longer period of time with me really not paying any attention to the driving. I think that would be awesome, and I don't think it's far off. I think it's just a few years away. And I think the interior sensing, the driver monitoring will be part of it. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, that is all I had for you both. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Listening to Martin and Rana talk about the acquisition was such a cool behind-the-scenes look into how the merger came about, from those early talks at CES 2020 to today. I know that we have seen so much of ourselves in how the Smart Eye team operates and how they share our vision to bridge the gap between human and machine. So as we head into the summer, it's not goodbye, but see you later. We do hope to continue bringing you cool content, but it may be in a different package come the fall, which is when you can expect season 4 to kick off. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our human-centric AI podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts for new episodes. We're also on social media, so please reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to share any feedback you have on the show. Don't forget to rate us and comment with your feedback to help make the podcast more discoverable for others. Until next time, thanks for listening.